Well, welcome to this month's episode of The Breeze. Once again, we are at Al's Pub on the north side at Argent Lakes, and we've had a great crew here of support to set up. In fact, it's a wonderful example of what we're talking about today, and the topic for today, ladies, is change. And this is certainly a change from our usual arrangement where we are in a studio where everything's already set up. And change is thrust upon us by the renovation of Pinckney, but the crew has done a great job.
Definitely.
And I think, all of us undergo change because change is the one constant thing in life.
I like that.
Change is constant, whether it's voluntary, involuntary, and so forth. For me, I've encountered several major changes in the last few years, but I think the biggest was deciding to move to Sun City. How about you guys?
Well, I'm going to be moving out, but my decision to move here was great. I mean, it was kind of like real quick, and my family's head spun when I said, well, we're moving to South Carolina, and it was like, what?
Well, yeah, you're leaving behind all your support, you're leaving behind your friends, some of which are pretty toxic. Granted. But yeah, I mean, that's a very, very big step.
Yeah.
And how do you work through that, Margie?
Well,
You've moved several times.
I have moved several times. It's not because I'm being pursued.
She's in the post office.
I have moved because my daughter has moved with family, and this is the third time I've done that. Each experience has been great, no regrets. But this is where I draw the line now. They are no longer local and would like me to come stay with them, but I am very happy right where I am here in Sun City.
Is that because you're through with change in general?
No, I like change as long as I can have it my way. But no, I think change is healthy for us. I think it can put us to the task sometime of really evaluating what our needs are, what our wants are, which are different. So no, things have changed here since I came in terms of some, people in my life and activities I've been involved with. So I think it's healthy.
Well, are you a short-range reactionary to change, or do you plan, look into the future with your crystal ball and say, this is coming down the line. I'm going to figure out today what I need to do then?
No, I have to walk through it very, very, very silently and by myself.
By yourself?
For a while, yeah.
So nobody can sit around and say, that's pretty unreasonable.
Well, I may get their opinion, but I know what's right for me in the end.
But you know what? You don't always have that opportunity necessarily, depending upon what the subject or change at hand is. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes you have to be reactive, and you can't always be proactive. Mm-hmm. Which is what, sounds like Margie likes to do. I know she's the researcher.
Well, I know, but there's some things that inevitably cannot be prepared for in any sense. Can you say pandemic?
Oh, gee.
I mean, and what you learned from that change, which was thrust upon us, and we all went into this period kicking and screaming, I think. And how did that affect your ability to get through that kind of a shocking change?
Well, for me, I was a part of the COVID study with Meridian Clinic, and ironically, after all the vaccinations and everything else, I ultimately did get COVID, but it was so mild and short-lived that I was so glad that I volunteered to do that, because it could have potentially saved my life.
So you made the decision, the conscious decision, to deal with that catastrophic change by doing something proactive to protect yourself and perhaps be part of a program to help others.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Especially people of color, because they weren't getting a lot of volunteers because of historical issues, and I stepped up and I let other people know, and I even spoke to groups about it. Mm-hmm. So, that adaptability, I think, really helped others as well to understand how important it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, Margie, how about you? What was the biggest result of that kind of change?
I recognize that I try very hard to spend a lot of time alone. and I'm fine with that. So here when that pandemic came, I handled the being alone okay, but I also realized I did miss my social contacts that I'd kind of thought I was independent of. Because now everybody was behind their own doors.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So this was a big learning
It
experience.
was. It was a learning.
Yeah.
I do need people. Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that's positive out of the pandemic is everyone has learned how, and even I will say, have learned how to embrace technology to a certain extent. And you know, it's thrust upon you, but how else are you going to survive, basically?
Yeah.
How else are you going to maintain some sort of sanity during that period of time?
Especially since you're a social animal. You really seem to thrive by people and being around people, you know, because you're so active.
Well, I try to be, yeah. I mean, and you know, I was in denial that anything was really happening for probably the first 6 months of the pandemic, and just shaking my head at people. But you know, I caught on. I fortunately have not had any consequences, and you haven't either, have you?
I have not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, someone once said what matters most is how we anticipate changes, which are inevitable, adapt to them, and use them in the new scenario to our advantage. Do you agree or disagree?
Say that again. It was kind of a lot to
Given that
take in.
change is inevitable,
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
yeah.
What matters most is how we anticipate those changes, adapt to them, and use the new scenarios to our advantage.
I think in that equation for me is that I try to be a proactive person and anticipate some things and have certain people or things available to me in the event that I need input.
You have a good example offhand?
Yeah, my dear friend who moved to New York is one of my confidants. When I lost my husband, she was my rock.
Okay.
And my bestie's down in Florida. So those two people for sure will give me divergent views, and my bestie will really, really tell me the truth.
So you anticipate that you'll need some of that counseling, if you will, and so you've got your support system in place. Is that what the gist is?
Yeah, I have it in place, but I also, you know, make sure I have certain reserves, whether it's an emotional reserve for myself and a couple of dollars set aside in the event I need to react in a certain way.
Marge?
Well, I like being alone, and I think it's important that we separate out those two definitions, being lonely or being alone. I don't recall when the last time was that I was lonely. But kind of suits me, you know, it's just in the last maybe 10, 12 years, I thrive on it. That
Okay.
doesn't mean I'm not social and that I don't have friends and that I don't join things. I mean, this for me is a wonderful example. Yes, I can go out and do something new that I hadn't done before, but I'm fine.
Well, I know that.
All is well, all is well.
But let me ask you this question. Are you anticipating a problem or a change? And are you preparing for anything? I mean, whether it's, you know, not anything particularly dramatic, but something that's going to happen that you know is going to happen?
Well, yeah, eventually my money will run out.
Well, what are you going to do?
Oh, absolutely. I get on with my advisor all the time to make sure my wants don't increase.
What will you do? What will you do?
She'll move with me.
Well, let's not go crazy.
How about you, Doug?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that I'm very good at it. I'm a very optimistic person, and I typically think everything's going to go all right and nothing will change.
That's kind of Pollyanna.
It is Pollyanna, and it's sort of self-destructive in a way, because as I say, change is inevitable, and
Yes.
hey, we're going to have to deal with it whether we want to or not. You know, personally, I woke up one morning 2 years ago and about 3 in the morning, and went to the bathroom, and I couldn't see out of my right eye. I could not see out of my right eye. So what's up with that? Well, long story short, I suffered an incident which destroyed the vision in my right eye. Okay, now that's a change.
Oh,
And that's
big
a
time.
totally unanticipated change. And so immediately then I had to think about all the ways I would have to adapt to get through life. And would I still be able to play golf? Blah, blah, blah. And will I be able to drive? And the stress of that kind of change is really significant.
I can't imagine.
But what resources do you have? Well, you have no choices, number one. You have to move forward. And who was it? Robin Roberts said, courage is what you have when you have no other options. I'm not making myself out to be Captain Courageous here, but,
But
that's true.
by observation, you have done and adjusted very well.
Well, thank you, but it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, yeah.
I still run into things at home, including running over my wife once or twice, who's a little bit tinier than me. And so, yeah, it's been an adjustment, but those are the kind of things that are beyond your control that you can't prepare for.
Yeah, yes.
And those are the things that cause the most stress, in my opinion.
Yes.
And Margie, how do you work on the positivity of change? I mean, do you you're generally an optimistic person, I think.
I am, and I have a strong faith,
Yeah?
which helps me through this. I'm not in this, and whatever it is, alone. And at first, I sometimes panic real quick, and then I have to say, okay, now sit down, think it through. What was that message? What can you do about it, if anything?
Yeah.
Then do it. And if not, it's like, get on with it.
Yeah,
You know?
my decision tree also includes what's the worst thing that can happen,
That's
Right?
good. Yeah.
and where does this rank in the things that should matter in your life?
Oh gosh, we ought to just keep a checklist of all the horrible things that are going on in the world and in our
That's
community and in our other friends, and say, well, I am really darn lucky.
Yeah.
Or,
And look for the blessings rather than
yeah.
Right.
rather
The
than
complaints,
going
the
through and
complaints.
saying, oh, woe is
Yeah.
me.
Right.
But that brings me to another topic, and that is, why do people hate change so much?
I think because they're not equipped to deal with it. I mean, many people, I won't say many, but a number of people panic. They don't have the support system or the financial resources to accommodate whatever that change is. And perhaps in making a decision how to deal with it, they don't know a timeline, or they can't plan it out. They're more reactive than proactive.
Okay.
And I think it takes a certain type of person to be able to deal with change.
Yeah.
Some people just fall apart.
Well, true enough. And Tina, you're going to be undergoing a great big change that we briefly alluded to. So we'd like you to take a minute and tell us what you're going to do and what the big change is in your life.
Well, I am going to be moving. I'm moving to Frisco, Texas. I am a part of the well-known sandwich generation. I have children that are younger and a mother who is older. She is 92 and very spry and fashionable and got a good mind. But what I'd like to do is move her from Los Angeles to an area where we have more family, so we can have a good quality of life, age in place, and enjoy some things together. She wants to go to Napa. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. I said, Mother, first of all, you've got to get your real ID, because I don't care how old you are and who you know, they still want to see and an active ID. Oh, really? Well, I'm 92 and blah, 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 blah. So that's what I'm dealing with, okay? So anyway, I'm selling my home, and I have been here 16 years, love it, and even considered a Del Webb in Frisco, Texas, if that becomes available. But because of that, I made the decision to do something proactively. My cousin had suggested it, and I said, well, let me look at it. Now, the funny thing in this equation is that when I told my friends, and I haven't really told all my family, they were amazed. One minute I'm talking about it, the next minute I'm doing it, the next minute the house is on the market, the next minute the house is sold, and I'm out of here in a few weeks. And they're going like, whoa, they can't believe it. So when you're talking about preparation, I'm the kind of person, once I decide I'm going to do something, I do it.
And this is going to be a huge change. It's a change for us.
Yes.
I'm
going to zoom in.
Well, I don't know how to use that.
Yeah, we know.
But I will tell you, Tina, we've been doing this show now a little over 4 years.
Yes.
And you've been a valued part of the panel.
Thank you.
And
I've enjoyed it, and you guys have become very, very good friends.
and you've brought a somewhat unique viewpoint to all of our conversations. And been disagreed with sort of amicably. But I will say that we should drink a toast here. There's some wine that you brought as the wine whisperer. Yes. And drink to your future health and fulfillment of your dream for the rest of your life, and deal with change the way that you can.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And remember, now you've been asking for God to send you a rancher for a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for my rancher in Texas. Yes.
Than here.
But the last thing I mentioned before this announcement was, you know, the more complexity you add to your life, it seems to me is a recipe for the more unhappiness you will have in your life.
Well,
do you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
We've got to think that out, and we're about ready to close this session.
Yeah, we got a few minutes left.
Okay.
The reason I say I disagree is that I'm going to think about what I'm going to be doing and be a little bit more prepared. I'm going to be more independent and interdependent, and being able to say no.
Independent and interdependent.
Right,
both.
right.
Okay.
You have to be. And part of that interdependence is having the ability to say no. Okay. If there's something I don't want to do, when you're talking about simplicity, rather than complicating it, just say no and be gentle with it. I'm sorry, I can't do that at this time. Or no, I don't want to go to Austin, Texas right now because it's 120 degrees, or whatever the case may be. But I think that I'm looking forward to it because change can be very enjoyable.
Well, some people would say, in business particularly, that if you don't change, you begin to fail. And if you are going to have any success at all in business or your future life, you need to change. You need to consider change for the sake of change. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned to you, Margie, that greater complexity sometimes equates to greater unhappiness. Agree or disagree?
Greatest complexity
in your life
adds to the best happiness?
No. Greater complexity in your life leads to greater unhappiness.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all. Oh, no.
Well, that's 2 out of 2.
Okay, no, not at all.
What about you?
Oh, I think it snarls up everything. I don't like it.
Well,
there you have it.
become a hermit.
All right, we know where you stand.
Well,
that's true, though. That's fine. Probably a lot of our audience is the same way, so now they know it's okay.
well, you know, but basically, if you embrace change and the new complexities and you master them, then your life is a bowl of cherries. I just don't want to do that. But anyway, let me wrap this up. We'll get some final comments, but there's another great quote that says, "Great success is not dreamed into existence." It's not dreamed into existence. And as I said earlier, given the inevitability of change, What matters most is how we anticipate those changes, adapt to them, and use the new scenarios to our advantage. And I think both of those statements, if you give them some thought, are reasonably profound and true.
Yes, I agree. And I'd like to add one too.
Sure.
Courage is the power to let go of the familiar.
Right.
And you're doing that. And you've already shown courage, but obviously it's an important ingredient.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, change is going to come, and you're right in the middle of it, Tina. We will miss you, of course. And change obviously will be coming to the breeze. We will be trying to figure out how to go on without you. And we'll find a way. But in any event, we appreciate the crew and the management of Al's for letting us use the facility. We will be back again in the month of October, and we'll have hopefully an exciting new topic to talk about when we again shoot the breeze. Here's to our, here.
Our goal with The Breeze is to encourage conversation among friends, even strangers, to be accepting of different opinions, but open to new ideas.
Hi, I'm Margie Bruiser, and today I have a couple of very special items with me. One is a 5-year diary of my grandmother's, beginning in 1940, and I have 8 of these taking me up to the year of her death in 1975. I also have my grandmother's autograph book from 1907, Treasures.
I'm Tena Thompson. Boy, does this bring back memories. I've had this since the 70s. I can't wait to talk to you about it.
And I'm Doug Wright, and I have with me today this extremely attractive picture of me in 1948. The problem is, it comes from this book, and I have 16 more of them. What am I going to do? We went out and asked some of the residents about who their heroes were. But
my hero growing up was my 4th grade teacher, Ms. Green. She was just the sweetest lady ever, the best teacher. And then I wound up teaching 4th grade my last few years of my career.
Yeah, my hero growing up was my mother. Believe it or not, a lot of people would not say that. My mother taught me at an early age because she had my sister, a child late in life. I learned how to take care of a baby, a young baby, learn how to cook, learn how to shop, learn how to make a bed, learn how to clean the house, learn how to change diapers, because someday I would have my own children, or someday I may be alone, and I need to know these things.
I would say my childhood hero actually was Abraham Lincoln. When I learned about him, I think it was 2nd grade, and I thought it was an amazing thing to have to try to keep a whole country together. And I understood that he wanted everybody to be free, but he also wanted the country to stay together. And I'm amazed that he did it, and I'm grateful, because had he not, what would we be like now? So I would say Abraham Lincoln.
well, so I'd like to know who you had as a hero or a role model, someone that you have great nostalgia for.
And they're not even, well, I guess the Lone Ranger would have been considered a hero, whereas Annette Funicello on Mickey Mouse Club, we shared the same
I was a
birthday.
Mouseketeer. Oh, yes.
So she was my popular, I wanted to be like Annette.
Did you have ears?
Oh, yeah.
I had ears, and I would sit there,
In the black
Mickey
and
Mouse,
white.
Well, I can tell you I thought about Annette a lot, but I don't think she was my hero. And you know, a hero has different meanings for different different approach. I think the word's a little bit overused today. But how about you, Tina? You must have had some role models or heroes.
Well, when I was growing up, nostalgia / hero, Superman.
Ah.
Oh, I watched him religiously. And when he would, I mean, he was my guy. Mm-hmm. And then the Lone Ranger, you and I like Lone Ranger and Tonto. I remember going to I guess today they call it a concert, where he was there with Tonto. And that was, that was my heart.
Be still my heart.
Be
right?
still my heart, with that mask on that horse. Honey, he was fine.
Oh, jeez.
So that was one of them. And then, professionally, I guess my play uncle. Mm-hmm. He was dapper, with the Brooks Brothers suits and the what do you call those shoes that you can't kill that the guys wore? Wingtips?
Wingtips.
Oh yeah, and the tie. Handsome, sharp businessman. I wanted to be like my cousin, my play uncle.
What's your sense of the year? New beginnings?
New beginnings. I want to think about how I'm going to enjoy 2022, what I'm going to do differently, and it's not a resolution, it's just how I'm going to live.
Okay, well that sounds like pretty exciting. What about you, Mark?
Well, I'm going to take better care of myself, exercise more, eat the better foods. I remember starting out doing that last year, but obviously I was not committed enough.
You got to be committed.
Very
and in
committed.
fact, I should be committed.
Hey, Margie.
When you were considering retirement, you probably looked around a lot, considered what your interests are, were attuned to this with other members of your family, and you had certain ideas in your mind of exactly what it would be when you woke up in the morning, what kind of a life you were having.
Well, that's certainly what I think, hope everybody at least thought about it, but often
Yeah.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I thought about it and I knew that I wanted to expand on being a wine whisperer. And I've done that and it's been fun.
Hey Tina, what are we going to do for the next show?
I don't know, I've been thinking about something that social media has got me really up in arms about. It's this cancel culture. You know, it's like dissing people and it really is something that bothers me. Do you even know what it is?
No, I've heard of it but never learned about it.
Well, it talks about people that, you know, have done things in their past and then they hold it against them and they say, they don't want to bother with them anymore. And sometimes it's not even justified.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, that concerns me.
What?
I heard something about Doug.
What?
Early in his career, he really messed up.
Say what?
I know.
Oh, Doug?
Hey, girls, what's up with that? Looks like I've been canceled.